Hello, how are you? Today I'm going to tell you everything that science has discovered so far about the relationship between coffee consumption and prostate health, benign prostatic hyperplasia, and prostatitis. Many men want to know if, after all, drinking coffee daily will help or worsen prostate health. I'm going to explain all of this to you. Stay until the end because you won't want to miss this. Before we start, I want to ask you how old you are, whether you drink a lot of coffee or just a little, and whether you are a man or a woman. If you're a man, have you ever been diagnosed with any prostate problems? And if you're a woman, take this opportunity to share this video with a man you love, someone you care about. Let's spread this chain of good together, you and me. And speaking of helping each other, if you can, go ahead and like the video now, because that's super important to me. That shows YouTube that you like the channel and that you trust my content. When we talk about coffee, the first thing that comes to mind is caffeine, right? And of course, caffeine is one of the most studied and talked about compounds in coffee, but few people know that coffee contains hundreds, even thousands, of bioactive compounds. Among them, we have antioxidants, polyphenols, phenolic acids like chlorogenic acid, which helps fight oxidative stress and free radicals that damage our cells when they're out of balance, the cells in our body, including prostate cells. So this chronic inflammation and unbalanced oxidative stress are among the main factors linked to prostate growth and even prostate cancer, right? Although these are separate issues and one doesn't necessarily have to do with the other. A person who has benign prostatic hyperplasia won't necessarily develop prostate cancer. That's an important point to mention to help ease some of the anxiety that many people have. But we know that oxidative stress can increase the risk of prostate cancer and other types of cancer in various people who are more predisposed, whether due to their own genetics or associated environmental factors. And that's exactly where coffee's protective factor comes in, because it contains antioxidants and polyphenols, which, along with a balanced diet and a healthy lifestyle, can help reduce inflammation in our bodies and neutralize some of these free radicals, protecting the prostate tissue. There have been some studies published that found that men who consume 1 to 3 cups of coffee a day have a lower risk of developing advanced prostate cancer. But this effect is modest. It's not a guarantee, unfortunately. I wish I could tell you, drink coffee and you'll never have any serious prostate health problems. That's not true, but we do know that it can have a protective effect for some men as part of a healthier lifestyle. Another important point is the relationship between coffee, metabolism, and prostate health, because we know that coffee can have an interesting, beneficial metabolic impact for us. We know that moderate coffee consumption is associated with a lower risk of type 2 diabetes and improved insulin sensitivity, according to large cohort studies that follow people over the medium and long term. And this has everything to do with the prostate when we think about it, because men with insulin resistance and metabolic syndrome have an increased risk of developing benign prostatic hyperplasia, which is that well-known enlargement of the prostate. So when we help the body control blood sugar and when we reduce systemic inflammation, coffee, because it also has a beneficial effect, can act as an adjunct in this sense and may also help preserve your prostate health. Of course, this applies to black coffee, okay? Just a note to make. But I'm talking here about black coffee, filtered, brewed, without sugar, without condensed milk, without syrup or cream. I mention this because nowadays, many people don't actually drink coffee anymore, right? They drink cappuccino, macchiato, frappe drinks, frappuccino. And when you look at it, there's very little coffee and a lot of sugar. And in that case, obviously, it can throw off your blood sugar and increase low-grade chronic systemic inflammation. That's not what we're talking about in this video. Now, everything has two sides in life, right? And excessive coffee consumption can be a bit harmful to the prostate in the sense that coffee is also very rich in caffeine, which is a natural stimulant. So caffeine increases alertness and also has a diuretic effect, which means it can stimulate your bladder a lot and increase the number of times you urinate, especially at night. And for those who already have an enlarged prostate, that benign prostatic hyperplasia, it can worsen urinary symptoms like that urgency to urinate, the constant need to urinate a weaker stream, having to get up several times at night, and that feeling of incomplete emptying. So if you're a man who already has hyperplasia in your body, detected and diagnosed, and you drink a lot of coffee, since it can increase the diuretic effect, it might seem like these symptoms get worse for you. In addition, we know that excessive consumption of caffeine of coffee many times a day, more than 4 or 5 cups a day, can increase insomnia, anxiety, raise blood pressure, and cause digestive discomfort. So one option could be to start drinking decaffeinated coffee, or at least have just 1 serving of caffeinated coffee in the morning, for example, and for the rest of the day, drink decaf. That way, you still get most of the antioxidants naturally found in coffee, that protective effect coffee has without the excess caffeine, which could overstimulate your bladder and also worsen your sleep and nighttime relaxation. Of course, not everyone will react to coffee in the same way, right? People have their own genetic and personal differences and even environmental differences like diet and lifestyle. So there are people who metabolize coffee and caffeine more slowly, and there are people who metabolize it more quickly. So, two people can drink the same amount of coffee and have completely different experiences. The most important thing is for you to assess how your body is responding to these issues, like excessive urination, restlessness, and anxiety, which too much coffee and caffeine can trigger in some people. Of course, the idea of this video is to tell you that coffee can have a beneficial and protective effect because of the antioxidants naturally present in coffee, but I also want to remind you that a good diet can have a beneficial and protective effect on your prostate. So there are foods that are rich in nutrients that naturally protect your prostate, such as pumpkin seeds, for example, which contain zinc and antioxidants that can help improve mild symptoms of benign prostatic hyperplasia. Green tea is wonderful because it contains catechins, which help reduce inflammation and improve prostate cell health, and it has less caffeine than coffee itself, obviously. Turmeric has a powerful anti-inflammatory effect, which helps reduce that low-grade chronic inflammation. And of course, a diet rich in colorful vegetables, especially those with reddish pigments such as tomatoes, watermelon, and pomegranate, can help protect prostate health. That's because these foods contain precursors of vitamin A, which can contribute in an interesting and positive way to overall prostate function, right? So adding a diverse, nutritious diet with fewer processed foods and foods rich in carotenoids can also help as a complement to improve prostate health. I have a men's health playlist here on the channel where I talk a lot about foods that improve or worsen prostate health, about symptoms of prostate problems, the difference between symptoms of prostate hyperplasia and prostate cancer. Of course, all these videos are informative, but they're mainly to help you be more aware and alert. And if you think you might have a problem with your prostate, it's always worth getting it checked, okay? Don't just put it off. It's very important for men to go to the doctor regularly and do the necessary tests to check how this organ, which is so important for the male body, is doing. So I'm going to leave these videos here as a warning for you and take a look at the playlist. There are other really cool complementary videos that can help you too. Tell me, did you know about this connection between coffee and the prostate? I'd love to see your comment. Remember to like the video, that really helps me out, and share it with anyone you know who would enjoy it or needs this information. Let's work together to grow this chain of good. That's what I want here with the channel. See you next time. Bye.